Hi, Garci. Hi, Justine. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Grayson. Glad that you are attending. We'll get started here. I'm just going to give it one more minute. Hi, Brownlee. So again, if you are just now joining us, please put your name and where you're coming from, what school and what grade you are with. And if you are a business or organization, please let us know where you're coming from today. Thank you for joining us. Just gonna give it a few more minutes here. Okay, well, I think I'm gonna get us started. So again, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Just a little bit of housekeeping right before we start. If you are joining us, please let us know where you're coming from. Give us your name and your grade and what school you are with. And if you are with a business or an organization, welcome. Thank you for attending. And please put that in the chat feature. I am Tammy McBride. I am Career Connected Learning Specialist, and on behalf of the Apple STEM Network and the North Central ESD, WorkSource Okanagan, and Career Connect Washington, we would love and welcome you to the high school to highways information session today. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for the Washington State Department of Transportation and taking their time out of their busy day to give us this great information session that we have planned for you today. We got an awesome presentation lined up for you, and we have a lot of great information about their program and how to apply. We also have a chance to do a quick deep dive on writing a letter of interest and some interview information. So again, thank you for joining us. So a little bit of housekeeping, like I said, just some rules that we would like to address right now. If you don't mind, please keep your mic muted during the presentation, and you can have your video on. We don't mind. We love the faces. And we will have a few moments in the middle and at the end for a quick answer for questions and that you guys might have to our professionals with the Washington State Department of Transportation who are with us. And if you can either, once that does come, you can put that in the chat feature and type your questions there. Or if you feel like you want to, you can definitely unmute yourself and join us with the video and ask us any questions. If you are Facebook Live with us, please put all of your questions in the comment section and we will get to those once we can. So I have the pleasure of introducing you guys to Brenda and Terry. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Yeah. Are you ready for us to start out? All right. Well, I'm Brenda Reagan, the HR manager for the North Central region of the Washington State Department of Transportation. And I have the privilege of sharing this with our Assistant Regional Administrator for Maintenance, Terry Berends. And we're going to be talking to you about an exciting opportunity that our agency has for graduating seniors or folks just entering the job market to enter into our maintenance forces. We'll be talking to you a little bit about what high school to highways is, why Washington State Department of Transportation is a great place to work. We'll give you an overview of what the work will be in this job, how to apply, and then some time for questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Terry to dig a little deeper into what this program is.
Sure. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. So like Brenda said, I'm the Assistant Regional Administrator for Maintenance and Operations here in North Central Region. And just maybe real quickly, North Central Region might not mean a lot to many of you, but basically we go up to the Canadian border. Our area goes from the Canadian border down to the Othello area, the Vernita Bridge area down towards Yakima, and then over Stevens Pass to the west, and then to the east, just past Banks Lake, Grand Coulee area out there. So it's a very large geographic area that we cover. And this, we're excited to try out the high school to highways opportunity here. The Northwest region has done it last year as a pilot, had good success with it. And we're very excited to have one position available here in North Central region this spring to bring somebody on. And basically what it is it's an in-training opportunity for a high school graduate to come on in to the DOT, into the maintenance side of things and enter into a training program where we're going to train you to operate equipment. We're going to train you to drive snowplow, drive dump truck, flag out on the highway, set up traffic control and things like that. So, selected candidates are going to come into an entry-level position. We're going to put that person through a training program. And we're gonna, you'll be set up with a mentor also to answer questions. And there's several other folks here that'll be helping to answer any questions you have as you work through your training program. And when you come on, you're a full-time employee. So it's a great way to start a career with the Department of Transportation. I've worked here in Wenatchee for the DOT for 30 years, just at 30 years now. And it's a very fulfilling opportunity in a career. So, and we are very excited to have this opportunity to bring somebody in right at the high school graduate level, and give them a good opportunity to come on board and work through the training program. So, why don't you jump to the next slide? So you may ask yourself, so why choose WSDOT? We're committed to building a workforce that reflects the people and communities that we serve. WSDOT is more than just roads or just highways. WSDOT is a very large organization. We have an aviation division. We have bridges and structures. We have engineering departments, environmental departments, finance and accounting, freight and rail, human resources, information technology. So there's in public transportation. So there's a lot of different areas to branch out in once you come on board and start your career with the Department of Transportation. And that's one exciting thing is it's a large organization. There's a lot of opportunities for people to grow in. But WSDOT as a glance, we operate and maintain about almost 19,000 lane miles of highways. We operate and maintain about 3,300 bridges around the state. Washington State, we run the largest ferry system in the nation. It carries about almost 25 million passengers a year. And then we're also involved with Amtrak and the Cascades rail division. So again, a lot of diversity within WSDOT and a lot of opportunities. So let's go into the next slide here. So basically what the High School to Highways program is like I touched on earlier, it's an entry level in training position we're not looking for people, to bring somebody on that has experience in highway maintenance work. This is an in-training position. So that's going to offer a great hands-on learning experience, a good long-term career path for the selected individual. Along with that in-training program, we're going to train the selected candidate to get their commercial driver's license. And with that, once you receive that, then you'll be trained to drive our dump trucks, snow plows. So in the wintertime, be plowing snow and things like that, which is exciting work. And then also with the in-training program, you'll work through that. And once you complete the in-training program, you'll receive a pay increase, a 5% pay increase, and move up to the highway maintenance worker 2 position, depending on your qualifications. So like I mentioned several times, there's a great career path here, great advancement, and once you're in the organization, there's a lot of different career paths that you can choose. Shown on the slide there is the annual salary levels for each position. And this position, so we'll be making, ranges from about 39,000 to 47,000, depending on qualifications coming in, starting out. And then you can see that once the training program is completed, you get your CDL and you advance to the highway maintenance worker 2 position. The pay increases there. So again, it's a good career. It's a good paying job and a great opportunity for somebody coming right out of high school. So if you want to go to the next slide. So what you may be thinking, so what would I be doing as a high school to highways selected candidate? So in the maintenance and operations division, a lot of it is maintaining the highways and our transportation system. So you'll be doing pavement repair, which is shown on the slide here. You'll be doing some drainage maintenance. You'll be fixing guardrails, fixing signs, doing traffic control, setting that up, road patrolling, eventually plowing snow, and then involved with traffic control, which is a big part of our safety part of keeping our crews safe. And then during the winter months, when the conditions don't allow for numerous other activities, this position, once they receive their CDL, will be plowing snow and doing other snow and ice maintenance operations. So we can go on to the next slide. All right, so but go ahead.
Okay, so qualifications for this job, really to get in the door, we're looking for folks that are 18 years old on or before August 31st, a high school graduate or someone with their GED, or maybe just entering the workforce out of the service or other things like that. You have to have the ability to manipulate and transport up to 50 pounds. So that's kind of one of the important pieces. And then a valid driver's license. We will be putting you into an in-training program to get a CDL through the department. So that would be something that we've done. So that's a big portion of this. And then really, it's not on the slide here, but we're really looking for people with a willingness to learn, desire to serve the public, and someone who wants to try new experiences. Really, this is about someone who's interested in coming in with a great attitude and working to make Washington State better through roadway maintenance. We all serve the public in that way. So go ahead, Dennis, and move us forward. So the positions are available. We've got one position, as you see, bolded here in Wenatchee. That's where the position will be located in our region. And then Northwest region, which is out of the Seattle area, has openings in Bellevue, Bellingham, Everett, Mount Vernon, and Seattle. And then Olympic region, which is down south, closer to the Olympia area, has openings in Aberdeen, Port Angeles, Port Orchard, and Tacoma. And I mentioned those places because sometimes people have family members in those areas, and maybe that's where you opportunities statewide. And once you are in, like Terry mentioned earlier, once you work in one of these jobs, we have these jobs across the state in almost all locales. So if at some point in your life you want to move across the state, there's opportunities to possibly transfer to other locations. So while we'd love to keep you with us forever, we know everyone has a different life story as that unfolds. One thing we do want to remind everybody is because it has a CDL attached to it, our positions are subject to drug and alcohol testing requirements of the Federal Motor Carriers Association. So just something else to keep in mind. Next slide. How to apply. So we've got a live link here to our WSDOT jobs page. When you open that, you're going to look at the current job openings and then go to high school to highway. So we're going to take a peek at that just so you see. When you enter our page, you'll go to current job openings. And once there, you'll just scroll down the list that we'll see here in a second. Okay. I think right now it's on the 3rd page, but you can scroll down through. They're all alphabetical. And about halfway down there, there's high school to highways. So if you want to just open that, this is what it looks like. And then you click the green apply button and you'll have to fill out some information about yourself. It gives you a little bit of an overview, just like Terry's been talking about. And then it talks about a couple more things that you'll need to supply. And so when we go out of this, we'll talk about those items in a minute here. So what we are asking is a formal letter of interest. So that's a 1 to 2 page letter that will express your level of interest and why you believe you're a good fit. And that's what we're going to talk about in the second part of this presentation, is how to put that letter together. And then we're also asking for 2 letters of recommendation from professional contacts that you may have that can speak to your character, work ethic, readiness for a career opportunity, those kinds of things. It could be anyone from someone you've worked for already, a teacher, a coach, a pastor, other non-relatives that are doing similar work that might be able to talk about your willingness to do this type of work. So that's what those entail. We don't expect those to look in any way. It's just a recommendation from somebody that you know in the professional and that can give you a reference. The one thing to keep in mind is our applications are right now being accepted through midnight of the 18th of May. That could be extended, but right now this is the deadline I'd be looking at if I was applying for this. Once your application is received, it will be reviewed by our recruiters, who will then give your names to Terry and I to review closer here in the region to set up interviews. So we're going to get to the questions piece, but that's in a nutshell kind of what to expect as far as the online piece. So our next piece is if you have any questions for Terry or I about the work or applying or working at WSDOT.
Thank you, guys. So at this moment, we will take a little piece where if anybody has any questions about the job and applying or about the position, just go ahead and put that in the chat feature, or you can feel free to unmute and ask them directly. If you are on Facebook Live with us, please put your questions in the comment section and we will get to you. So we have one right now. Do you have to have a spotless driving record?
Terry, do you want to take that one?
No, you don't have to have a spotless driving record. I guess it would depend on what you have on it, but you know, everybody on occasions gets a speeding ticket or some other type of a situation. So definitely don't let that restrict you from applying. You know, it's I think maybe a felony or something like that may have a little bit more restrictions, but hopefully none of you have that situation. But you know, speeding tickets or parking tickets things like that, no, that doesn't prevent you from applying or being considered for employment. So.
That's right. And then I see we have a question about will the Eastern region be having a high school to highways position? At this point, the Eastern region out of Spokane is not participating in this current opportunity. Maybe in the future, this is the first time any region outside of our Northwest region has added opportunities to the list. So we're hoping that this becomes a more statewide process. That Eastern region is not open. And then how many positions in high school to highways? So in the Wenatchee area, we have one position. So we're a smaller region, but as you saw in that earlier slide, and maybe we can go back to it really quick if I can tell you which one it is. It's slide number 8, Dennis, if you can go back. There are positions available in Bellevue, Bellingham, Everett, Mount Vernon, and Seattle, and then Aberdeen, Port Angeles, Port Orchard, and Tacoma, as well as the position here in Wenatchee. It's a program that's somewhat limited, but we're excited to roll it out and build our workforce this way.
And then our other question that we have is, so the closest home base for someone residing in Okanogan County is out of Wenatchee.
At this point, although we do have opportunity once someone becomes permanent as a highway maintenance worker too, the transfer opportunity to the Okanogan Shed, Brewster, Twist, I think are our closest ones to that locale. When openings happen, that's an open opportunity. And then I saw another question in the chat here. Chemical certification, are you talking about the endorsement for chemicals? That would come with your CDL if that's what the question is. You would also apply for an endorsement for your CDL.
Yeah, it could be related to that, but also, so that would be part of the training program. And then also we do have a spray applicators license that we train individuals for certain positions for spraying our roadsides. So that would come along with that in training if eventually you moved in a position that required a spray license. So
right.
And then
there's a here about suggestions for a young person who is interested in becoming a highway worker in this capacity. What could a training or work experience pathway look like? So there is a very defined in training plan that goes with this. Aside from getting a CDL, there's training on many different aspects of this work, including danger tree falling, environmental impacts of this kind of work, Terry, close confined spaces training. Gosh, there's so many of them. I don't really know. Terry, do you want to add a few?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess bringing in experience, any experience that you bring in is good. But like Brenda mentioned, we're really looking for somebody that's excited about, building a career at WSDOT, bringing in a great attitude, a good work ethic. That's going to be as important, if not more important than all of your work experience. So, that's what we're really looking for this position. We're going to do the training. We're not expecting somebody to come right out of high school that knows how to drive dump truck, knows how to plow snow and things, or operate heavy equipment. That's what the in-training program is for.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions at this time? We will have another quick moment after the other piece of this presentation at the very end. So if you do have any other questions, go ahead and throw those in the chat while we're just still talking. Or you can also wait until the very end when we will have another one. Oh, yes, we do have another question. Brenda, do you want to?
Yeah, I would just say for the those who wouldn't get this position but are still interested in this kind of work, definitely pursuing a CDL. Most of our positions would require a CDL coming in. We don't typically train from the no CDL, but the CDL work, construction, road work, maybe working on a farm is also a pathway in. Coming out of the logging industry, which I know is not quite as prevalent anymore, but that kind of physical kind of work and understanding just, basic principles of, maintenance type things would be a good pathway in, but definitely that CDL. If you're not a selected candidate for this time, I know Moses Lake Community College has a CDL program, as well as there are other CDL programs that are privately owned. I think Wenatchee Valley College is working very hard on bringing a CDL program here to the Valley as well. So some ways to get the foot in the door, and those are usually about 6-week programs. So I tell people it's a pretty good bang for your education dollar to get a CDL.
Yeah, along with that, any experience flagging or traffic control, if you can work for the, PUD as a temporary or one of the contractors and things like that, that type of experience is very valuable to bring in also.
Okay, do we have any more questions at this time? I don't hear anything, so I'm gonna say let's deep dive into this next piece. So one of the biggest pieces that they are expecting for people to do for this application is to make sure that you include a letter of interest. And not a lot of people may know what that is. And I would like to take this time to kind of deep dive into what that means and what we need to include and what it kind of looks like. So a big piece for a letter of interest is there are a few key pieces that you should make sure that you include when creating your letter of interest. And so obviously, obviously you want to add your name, your contact information. That necessarily would make sure to be your email address and how they can get in touch with you. Also, like a good phone number is a great opportunity for contact information, just in case, because they always need to get a hold of you, especially nowadays. Even though that email is a big thing, phone contact is a huge one. So make sure you have a great landline, which I know not a ton of you know what a landline is, but or even just a cell phone. Obviously the date that you are creating this letter, and then the employer name, the employer contact information, which is huge. Not all the time do you know if it's actually, if it's for the WSDOT, they have multiple positions open. So you need to specify that it's for Wenatchee and not just for all of the blanket positions that are going on in Seattle or in the other regions of the state. So make sure you specify that. Your greeting and then an introduction paragraph, and we could dive into that a little bit deeper. And then 2 or 3 bodies of paragraph describing why you're writing and why you're interested. And then obviously a closing paragraph and your signature, which is also typed and signed. So a big thing that, the other piece of this is your name and contact information to the employer. This is also like a letter of interest should kind of mock a professional business letter. So that's how it's going to look. And we do have later in this presentation a quick snippet of what should look like professionally. Dennis, next slide. So to start with your introduction, you just want to make sure that you explain why you are writing this. Discuss why you are excited about working for this company, or why you admire the goals, or maybe key pieces about the position of why you think that you are the best candidate. This is you being a little bit boisterous and information about yourself, and that's okay to give a little bit of flair about you. This is your bragging piece. So kind of give your intro should only be like a minimum of 3 sentences long, which sounds brief, but it needs to capture the HR managers or whoever is reading your letter right off the bat. So discuss the reasons of, the company or why you admire it, maybe some of their goals or, their projections on what they have written about the position that's open. So next slide. And so then this is where you include, so your cover, this piece is a lot like your cover letter. So your body of paragraphs is where you are going to start talking about specific soft skills and also hard skills that you have gained throughout your professional, experiences and opportunities. And that's a piece that is really important because, these are the things that they're going to grasp from you, that they are going to make connections with about the actual position in itself, and then making that connection with you. So really quick, let's talk about soft skills versus hard skills. So soft skills are like the listening, communication, positive attitude, and problem solving, creativity, and empathy piece. Whereas your hard skills is more of like computer programs, or maybe cleaning procedures that you've done, or cooking knowledge, or just languages maybe that you speak if you were bilingual. Also, like how, like maybe if you've had some sales or marketing skills, or you've had experience being at a barista at Dutch Bros or something like that. So those are the differences, and those are really key aspects. So really make sure you touch on a few of those. I would say at least 3 on each. And I think that would be something that you definitely should include while writing that body of your paragraph. This is also going to be a little deep dive on you being a professional, and why you are the best candidate, and what kind of things that you have endeavored in your professional career. And maybe it's not something that you've done a whole lot, but maybe you've been a babysitter and that's just enough. So, I definitely deep dive in some of that and make sure that you get that content on there. Next slide.
Real quick, Tammy, I would just add that, if you're 18 and you're coming out of high school, experiences in school, something that you've done in maybe a club like FFA or something, is relevant. So when it talks about professional experiences, you can share those. And if you learn to weld at school, or you have a environmental science, something that might apply to the work that you're applying for, I would emphasize that. So now moving on.
Yes. So I think, there we go. So in your second body paragraph, this is where you need to kind of more in depth talk about your professional experiences. So this is kind of the piece that Dennis was also touching on, making sure that you specify maybe major important milestones that you've reached, maybe large goals that you actually accomplished, even if you are in high school and just getting out. Tell us something that you've done while in your high school career that you felt was a huge goal for you to accomplish. Maybe you finally, out of all 4 years, you finally became captain of your soccer team or something like that. This is stuff that, even though it might not seem like it's important, it still is. And making sure that you tell your story about what you've reached, and maybe touch on some of the organizations. If you have volunteered, who have you volunteered for, and what kind of lives have you touched? Where have you been? What kind of community involvement have you been in? Are you a part of a club? Have you done a lot of outreach? Have you been working with a lot of different companies or businesses within the region because of that club? Tell us some of your, deep dive in some of your accomplishments there. Even though it might be small, tell us, even if it's, your biggest accomplishment was going from babysitting your brother to becoming a barista. Stuff like that is super important, and it's giving you that next mark on your check mark on your box for you guys to start filling that resume. So that's where you deep dive in your second paragraph. Next slide, Dennis. So explain why the job is the right fit. So this is something that you should, in this paragraph, tie your most relevant skills into sometimes maybe also your values on what should be getting back to that company. And this is where they will start making those connections of you as an individual and this company and this position and why it's important. And this is the aspect that you should, express, gratitudes and your next step and where you want to go and why, and kind of giving that aspect of why you think that you are the best fit, and really keying in on, why you want to work there. I think that's the biggest piece is, making sure that you actually have that in for yourself, not only for them, so that they understand that you are really interested in this job. Next slide. So this is a copy of an example letter that Brenda has kind of generously found for us. Here you see it's definitely in a business oriented letter format. This is exactly how you are going to want to create your letter of interest. At the top there, you can see that it's got everything that we've kind of covered. So it has, your name, your contact information. It has the date of the letter that when you were writing it. It has the Department of Transportation's information, and it does say Wenatchee on there. I don't know if you paid attention to that. And then it also has attention to Robin Lovely. So this would be something that if you don't know who the attention is to, that's okay. Just make sure that you want to specify like attention HR manager, or hiring crew for high school to highways program, and that kind of thing. And then underneath it says dear Mrs. Mr. or Mrs. Lovely. So that's specifying who they are. If you don't, that's okay. You might want to say to whom it may concern, because that you actually don't know, and that's okay. And that addresses to anybody at that business. And here, this kind of goes into, it's very brief paragraphs, but you can see that even though it's very brief, they still have something there. They still have something written, and it describes like their interest, why they're writing, some of their positions that they've done. It says that they've, might have been a part of a club or an organization, and that kind of thing. And at the bottom, this is where I was saying, making sure that you have your name typed and signed. You can see that they signed it sincerely and left a bunch of space. And then at the very bottom that they said first name and last name. So this is something that just in case if they can't read your doctor handwriting, that's okay. They still know your actual name. So, and I think the next slide, we are going to talk a little bit about interviews. Dennis?
Yes, before we move on to interviews, I thought it'd be a good time. Does anybody have any questions about the letter? And looking at this sample, you can see it's not that intimidating.
No.
Any questions about the letter at all? Put it in the chat or just speak up.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hearing none.
so I might be a little quick, so if you still have a question, bring it up and we'll have a chance for questions at the end as well. So just some top interviewing tips. I've been lucky enough in my career to interview for several jobs myself, and I've been on the opposite end and I've hired a lot of people. And of course, Brenda and other people here, Christy, if you want to chime in and share some of your best tips, that's awesome. So if I just start at the top of this graphic and kind of work my way around, is be ready on time or early. If your interview's for 9 o'clock, I would be there at 8:50. It just gives you a chance to sit down and relax a little bit, which is the next one, is try to stay calm. Just to understand that you're just about to have a conversation. It doesn't have to be necessarily a high pressure situation. It's a conversation with an employer. One thing that helps relax you is to realize that you're interviewing them as well as they're interviewing you. Have a few questions for them. Make sure that this is a job you want. Make sure these are people you want to work with. Practice and repeat, which means think about some of the questions you think you're going to get asked. And in your head, or even write them down, have answers to those questions before you go into the interview. So it's just like studying for a test. What do you know about WSDOT? What do you know about the job? What do you want to know? That's kind of the questions you're going to ask. And then, but think about what they might ask you about whether or not, what kind of driver you are. Do you like working outside in the sun, or do you like working outside in the cold? Are you willing to do both? Do you like being physical? What are your answers to those questions? What are your interests down the road? Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Think about those kinds of things. And that's kind of what the next one is research the company. Get on their website and see what kind of work they do and see what some of their initiatives are. Read their mission statement. All of those things will help you be prepared for that interview. And then, like I said, be on time, be early. And then a nice touch is to follow up after the interview with a thank you note. Sometimes that could be a thank you email. And I would probably recommend that depending on the kind of job you're applying for, because if their turnaround is fairly quick, you might not have time to mail a letter, them to get the letter, open it and read it before they make some decisions. But the thing about interviewing is be yourself, be relaxed, be thoughtful, don't mix things up. If you don't know the answer, tell them you don't know the answer. They know if you're BSing. Be honest, and like I said, and try to make a connection with people. Remember their names, look them in the eye if you can, and give them a good, firm, welcome handshake when you get introduced, and be welcoming. And now these interviews, though, I just mentioned the handshake, and I realized they're going to be virtual. So give them a virtual handshake. Would anybody like to add any pieces to that?
I would like to, just really quick. So a few pieces that I've always done as a quick tip. I know that Dennis touched on the follow-up after the interview. I've always been the person to write a thank you letter and throw it in my bag so that when I'm walking out the door, I actually slip it to the administrative assistant and they can put it in their mailbox so that the next morning that they get the thank you letter instead of it waiting a couple of days, especially if sometimes it's pressing. Or if it's virtual, I would suggest the day of your interview, already write that thank you and send it out that morning so that it arrives on time. The other quick piece is that Dennis said, make sure to ask them questions, at least to have one question at the very end of the interview. Once they say, they always give you a chance to ask a question. always have something. It's better than nothing. And some of those would even look like, can you describe a typical day in this type of role? What is your favorite piece about working for the company? Or why do you like working for this company? Or ask them how long that they've been there for and why they enjoy it. Maybe how would my performance be measured? Or maybe ask small things about like how long have they been there, what made them stay, and why. So I think a few pieces like that are always great. And then practice. Even if it's with mom and dad or a brother, sister, or an aunt, get that practice in, because the more you practice, the better, and the more comfortable that you become. So that's my piece.
That's awesome. Yeah, I totally had forgot about writing that letter in advance. That's really a good tip, folks.
Hey, just to maybe add on something there, it's a good opportunity to sell yourself, and tell us about, what qualities you're going to bring to the job and your strengths, and don't be afraid to brag yourself up and tell us why you think you're going to be the best candidate for the position. It's your time, and it's your opportunity. And I know Tammy brought up a good point about, the question about be prepared to ask questions. And she mentioned one of the questions about what's the benefits of working there and why do you like working there? One thing I failed to mention is one of the big advantages of a career with WSDOT on the maintenance side is just about all of our maintenance employees work 4 10-hour days a week. So every weekend is a 3-day weekend, and it's very, very hard to find other jobs or careers out there where you're not working weekends and things like that. Now in the wintertime, when we're doing snow and ice, we do 24/7. So, there's going to be times of the year that you're still working 4 10-hour days, but it might be a night shift or weekend shift and things like that. But during the spring, summer, and fall, 4 10-hour days, it's generally 6 to 4:30. It's pretty good hours, pretty good opportunity to have 3-day weekends every weekend, especially in the area that we live in. With the outdoor activities, it's a huge benefit. So,
do people have final questions?
I wanted to add on to what Terry just said too, before we move on to questions, just the benefits packages that we have. We have medical and dental benefits that are at a very low cost in comparison to some of the other employers. We also have generous leave and holidays. We have 11 paid holidays a year, including one that you get to choose and call your personal holiday. It could be on your birthday or whatever day you like, as well as all of the major holidays off. And then you earn annual or vacation leave every month up to 8 hours, or excuse me, I think it's 9 starting now, and also 8 hours of sick leave a month. And some of those can be banked, and so that you actually have a pretty good ability to take a vacation the first year you have working for us. The other thing is anyone who works for the state of Washington has a very generous retirement package that they start paying into right away, and that the agencies contribute to as well. So it's a great career path in to build a lifetime career, either with WSDOT or any state agency. It's just a really good thing to think about when I know you're young and starting out now, and that doesn't seem like a big thing, but down the road it will. So I just want to add that piece.
Really quick, I also know that we have a few people on from WorkSource. If you are an individual that doesn't know much about interviewing or writing a cover letter or writing a letter of interest, I know that WorkSource and SkillSource around their areas always provide that type of help. And also our Career Connected Learning team is on with us today. And then Dennis Dennis is a part of that team. So if at any given point that any of you are listening today and have questions and would like some help, please don't hesitate to reach out. I know that WorkSource is always on board with helping out with that type of stuff. Same with SkillSource, your local SkillSource, and then also our Career Connect team. So I will be putting in the chat feature how to get in touch with us, just in case if you do have questions. And oh, looks like Christy's on it. So Christy O'Neill is a part of WorkSource, and yes, she said for assistance with interviewing and applications, please don't hesitate to reach out. She put her email in the chat feature there, and they are at WorkSource. So I'll also put Dennis and I's in there as well. So at this moment, does anybody have any questions? I'd like to just take a few more minutes. I know we're about 10 minutes till 3, and I want to be very cautious of time. So if anybody has any questions, please put it in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself and ask away. If you are on Facebook Live with us, don't mind putting it in the comment section there, and we'll get to your questions.
Tammy, can you hear me? This is Christy.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I just wanted to add that, so this is Christy from WorkSource. We do actually offer virtual mock interviewing sessions as well. So if anyone is interested in doing like a one-on-one mock interviewing session to prepare for the interview, we've heard back from our job seekers that this is incredibly helpful. Interviewing in a virtual world is very different than interviewing in person, and doing like a live run through can just really help to improve some opportunities post interview, and can help to reduce the stress and the anxiety that might come along with interviewing. So if anyone is interested in that, they can reach out to me directly, or just at any WorkSource, or to anybody here, and they could get in touch. But my email is in the chat, and we'd love to help anyone with the application or the or writing those cover letters too. So thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. So does anybody have any questions? Okay. Well, hearing none, I will make sure. Dennis, do you want to put in your email in the chat, please, just in case if people do have questions? And I just want to take this time, just take a few moments and really thank the Washington State Department of Transportation for taking their time today to present and give this wonderful information about their program and what the position that they have offered in our Wenatchee area. And then don't forget that all applications are due on May 18th. So make sure that if you want to apply, make sure that you get that in there on time. And thank you all so very much for joining us. And I hope that everybody has just a wonderful day. Oh, Brenda, yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I just received an email. It does look like, for those of you who are working and counseling students and applying, it does look like we're going to extend the opening on that a week, but I would still shoot the 18th, but it looks like we are going to be extending that, let's see, probably to the 25th. So the best way to tell is go out to the website, but the sooner the better. It's always good to get your information in quicker rather than wait till that last minute. But
Yes. So you heard it first, right off the press. Make sure that you get those applications in by May 25th, but the sooner the better, by May 18th. So again, thank you all, and thank you both Terry and Brenda, and Dennis and Christy. So thank you all, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
All right. Thank you very much.